football is very amazing and beautiful. And most times when you get to that point where somebody say, "Oh, this game is a dead rubber game. This game is done and dusted. It's over and out." That's when surprises come up. Last night, Tuesday night Champions League matches, Aston Villa, Paris Saint-Germain, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich. There were no surprises in the sense that the result of the first leg were enough to see the visiting teams go through to the semi-finals. That does not necessarily mean that the return leg, the second leg did not have anything to do with it. Take for instance, if Paris Saint-Germain did not score 2 goals at Villa Park, I'm sure this morning we'll be talking about Aston Villa in the semi-finals, waiting for either Arsenal or Real Madrid. For FC Barcelona, the 4 goals that they scored in the first leg without conceding was good enough, but they were on the edge of their seat. If you are a Barcelona fan and at 3-1 with Borussia Dortmund still attacking and pressing, having seen Sergio Guirassy score 3 goals in that game, you're not on the edge of your seat. You're very comfortable. Say it in the comment section. I double dare you to say it. If you want to lie, lie. But I know that you were on the edge of your seat, hoping that Barcelona score and probably defend properly. So it was edge of your seat kind of night. For Paris Saint-Germain, they thought that 3-1 away at home and then 2 goals, 2 early goals in the first half was enough. Even me, I tweeted that Aston Villa will not play well now. Against Arsenal, you will see them play defense so well, score 2 goals and make Arsenal look ordinary. But then in the second half, they came to the party. But what I don't like with the UK or British media narrative, they're making it look like, oh, Aston Villa narrowly lost that. Another 30 minutes of that game, they would have gone through. That's a lie. The team that should be given the praise, historically, Aston Villa is a bigger team in this competition than Paris Saint-Germain. Like it or not, Paris Saint-Germain played in 1 finals. Aston Villa have won it, 1982 or so. And so, whether you call it Champions League that time or Champions Cup or whatever it is, they've won it. Paris Saint-Germain have not won it. Having said so, instead of looking at the fact that Paris Saint-Germain scored 3 goals at home and went away to score 2 goals, which cancel out whatever late rally that Aston Villa came up with. This is not me diminishing Aston Villa's performance, but a 2-legged game in the Champions League knockout stage is a game of 4 halves. The first half, second half of the first leg, and the first and second half of the second leg. And in my own books, Aston Villa practically played in the 180 minutes plus added time. Aston Villa practically played, say, 60 minutes. So the time where they were in momentum and they scored that goal in the first leg, and then the second 45 minutes that they played, so 60, 70 minutes in 180 minutes. It means that Paris Saint-Germain still played well. One thing that maybe a team like Arsenal or Real Madrid can take home from that game is the fact that you can actually put Paris Saint-Germain under pressure and get them playing and be all over the place. The metronome playing, control of the tempo, style of Vitinha was not there yesterday in the second half. The defensive organization and structure of Paris Saint-Germain that we saw against Liverpool, that we saw against Aston Villa in the first leg, was not there yesterday in the second half. So any team that is coming to play against them, either it's going to be Arsenal or Real Madrid after tonight, would look at that and say, okay, yes, they can obviously, if you know Luis Enrique very well, he's very meticulous in his way. He's not loud. He doesn't have the kind of PRO that Pep Guardiola has, but he's won the treble with Barcelona just as Pep Guardiola have done it. Pep Guardiola has gone on to win the treble again with Man City anyway. I'm not trying to compare the two coaches. I'm not one of those who, oh, this one is better than that one. No, I just kind of like know that he's a good coach. He's meticulous in his ways and he's taking it slow and steady. He will look into that tape and say, okay, what was wrong? If you ask me, there is something that the English teams always have over other European teams, and also something that the Spanish team have over most other European teams. English teams run the most in European competition because the English league is a league of speed first before technicalities. Now, what Spanish teams have is the fact that they have better control of the ball in tight spaces than any other team. And so when they sign up players like Rodrigo, in the case of Real Madrid, for instance, and Vinicius Jr., who can now match any English team for speed, and then you add Mbappe to it, they obviously beat them when they come against them. But then Arsenal last week showed a masterclass in defending, a masterclass in the midfield play, and also were lucky. Now, why I say they were lucky was that Arsenal have not scored a direct free kick since 2021. And then all of a sudden in 2025, 4 years after, they scored 2 free kicks by one player on the same day. I can't remember, even from the Thierry Henry days, the Arsene Wenger days up until now, where even Paul Mason, who used to be a free kick specialist, the Sami Nasri, Thierry Henry, Fabregas sometimes, Robbie Van Persie. I can't remember. They may have been. I'm not saying they have not been. They may have been, but I can't remember one player scoring 2 free kicks in a single game for Arsenal in a big European night. Maybe against some Middlesbrough, some Lilliputian teams, yes. So that's why I say they got lucky. Because maybe all of these things I was saying, we'll be talking about the chances that were missed and the great saves of Thibaut Courtois. But thank God they scored those 2 free kicks, and the one player who scored more goals against Real Madrid than any other team he's played against scored the 3rd goal. Talking about Mikel Merino. Okay, now let's even go into tonight's game. How would Arsenal set up? I've seen some people say Arsenal should play haram ball. The problem with starting a 90 minutes game defensively is that you're prone to error. Why did Arsenal win the first leg? First off, beyond the 3 goals, Arsenal were dominant. Why were they dominant? There was one tactical advantage that Arsenal have in terms of the structure of the team. So the 4 at the back, Miles, Luis Kelly, Jacob Kivior, who made a slight mistake but was saved by the goalkeeper, David Raya, William Saliba, who's becoming Anusha Okechukwu, gentle giant, and then Reverend Father or Pastor Bishop Timber. Okay? Excuse me, guys. Timber was there. I have the flu. Yeah? Was there at the back solidly. And then there was a master class of midfield play by our Ghanaian brother, Charlie Thomas Partey. Declan Rice also was going and coming, but the guy who was holding the anchor, who was making sure the shape is stable, was Thomas Partey. Odegaard. So I look at Odegaard differently, and this opinion would offend a lot of people. I had said in one forum with some big bros that if I was Andre Batra, the first player that is going out of Arsenal, and I'll look for a capable replacement, would be Martin Odegaard. I'm like, why? It is obvious that Zinchenko, Tierney, all of those will go. So if you sell them, it's not a magical move. It's not like you've done something. But if you look at Martin Odegaard is the reason why Trossard and Martinelli are less productive. But people don't see that. Oh, Martinelli should be sold. No, I won't sell Martinelli. I might bring in Nico Williams. But the thing with bringing in Nico Williams is that who will supply him? Martin Odegaard only plays for Bukayo Saka. And without that, he's just a passenger on the field. That's why the 3 months that he got injured, Martin Odegaard was just a passenger on the field. He was just playing, not really in his best. His battery is Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka is his catalyst to play. Now, if you go back to the history of the club from Emmanuel Petit, Mason, Andres Limpa before Wenger, Paul Mason, and then you bring in the Emmanuel Petit era, the Gilberto Silva era, Sami Nasri, Cesc Fabregas, and so on and so forth, you will notice that these guys played centrally, not only leaning to the right-hand side. And because they played centrally, they know how to distribute their passes to the left, to the right, and through the middle. But Martin Odegaard is not that kind of player. So to occupy such a sensitive position, and all you do is feed, not even the goal scorer now, feed the wide man. Imagine if all Kevin De Bruyne does, well, because supply Bernardo Silva or Mahrez, and not feed Haaland or feed the other side of the field. You see all these praises that he's getting, everybody's saying he should be put in the Hall of Fame already, which I support, will not be there. For all of his disinterested last 2 seasons, Mesut Ozil fed everybody. Everybody felt the anointing of Mesut Ozil wonder passes. And that's what a good midfielder does. I mean, I was telling my football friends that if I play in the same team with Odegaard, I'll break his nose on the field. I mean, I look at Odegaard with the same way I look at Okocha. Sometimes they just do what they like for themselves, not what they like for what is good for the team. What is good for themselves and not what is good for the team. That's why, I mean, it's going to be hard for me to sit in analysis and say I'm a fan of Okocha. Was he a good player? Yes, he was a great player. Okocha. I mean, I shouldn't even be calling Odegaard and Okocha in the same sentence because Okocha is way, way better than him. But most times when I look at Okocha, when I put the total generality of his game, I always say, man, this guy did more for himself than he did for the team, whether club side or for national team. And I know that people always hammer me for this, but I have sat down with 90% of players that Okocha played with in the national team, and all of them have the same thing to say. So it's not like, oh, I'm just saying this out of the cuff. It's a conversation that is ongoing and keeps on going. But let's put that to the side. So having said that, how should Arsenal play today? Last week, why they beat Madrid, why they dominated Madrid, let's talk about why they dominated them first, was the fact that every time Arsenal is in possession, they have the full complement of 4 players in midfield. That's Odegaard, Partey, Declan Rice, and Mikel Merino, who is natural instinct, his comfort zone is the midfield, drops to the midfield and gradually move forward. And also, it's not a get to the nine position, the number 9 position kind of guy. Is the Lampard type. So, Chelsea fans, I am not comparing Merino with Lampard. He cannot lace Lampard's boots. I am not. I'm just saying in terms of the position, the highest position he gets to on the field of play all through his career is that Lampard position where he's standing behind the strikers, the lead players, and then when the ball comes back, if the wide men don't cross the ball to the number 9 or the guys inside, they cut back to him and then he strikes with his deadly left foot. That's what he knows how to do. Doesn't score too many goals, but he scores 1 or 2, and they also score with his head, with his area prowess. Now that's what he does. So those were the advantages that Arsenal have. Can Arsenal also take that advantage today? Why not is the question. But then there is one question that I ask in the group that I'm going to ask today again, and you can put your answer. Let's take it hypothetically that last week was a bad day in the office for Real Madrid. And Madrid have been having quite a lot of bad days in the office this season. That's not to take anything away from them, because if Madrid wins this game, people will come out again and say, oh, it's not about a bad day. Madrid are the king of the Champions League. This is what they are known for. Yes, we've seen this happen so many times in football. And the Champions League, if there's one competition that knows how to really throw up surprises, it is the Champions League. As a matter of fact, there is no league that have shown more comeback, no competition that have shown more comeback than the UEFA Champions League, especially in a 2-legged affair. It has happened too many times, even in the finals. The great 1999 finals comes to mind. And then the great 2005 finals, Manchester United in the 1999 versus Bayern Munich at the Nou Camp. And then Liverpool versus AC Milan in Turkey comes to mind. But this is not what we're talking about. Can Real Madrid come back? Obviously they can. They will start with the intimidation of the Arsenal team, the fans, just the same way last week Arsenal fans in the stadium were the loudest, they were really the 12th men. But then Madrid are going to show theirs. Can the Arsenal players hold their nerves? Can they avoid many things? We've seen Arsenal go to Spain, especially against Barcelona, and be given a red card for no reason. Robin Van Persie red card comes to mind. If there are people who can play the politics of the game, it is Florentino Perez. History says that Real Madrid have never beaten Arsenal ever before in the Champions League. This is another one. They played 4 times, not in the Champions League, but they played 4 times in every type of competition, including friendly. Arsenal have won 2, drawn 2. Okay, they've won 3 now if you add that last week on. Can they get a draw out of this one or lose by a lesser margin and then keep going? Then if you look at this season, Madrid hardly go a game without conceding. So this is one of those games where Arsenal will look at themselves and say, you know what, we've considered less than Madrid in this competition. We scored more than them, 27-24 if I'm not mistaken. My statistics might not be right. And we've also created more chances than Madrid in this competition. And we've also, in the first leg, really without a few key players as well. Bukayo Saka just coming back from injury. What's his name now? Gabriel Magalhaes not available, but still we had a teenager in Miles Lewis Kelly who became the 3rd youngest Englishman to create an assist in the UEFA Champions League in that game and doing what he did. So I could sit here and say to you that I believe that Arsenal will go through. Would they win? That's the question I need you to answer in the comment section. Would Arsenal win? What a win does for them there is it takes them to the next game in Paris Saint-Germain and say, okay, you know what? We have 3 more games. If Arsenal wins tonight and goes through, or if they lose and they go through, but a win will be better. We have 3 more games to be immortals. Okay? We have 3 more games to be the generation of players that won the first European Champions League for this club. Can they do it? In your heart of heart, do you think that Arsenal, now let's start talking about the conversation, can Arsenal go one better and go on to win the UEFA Champions League and, ostracize the demons of this? And if Arteta and his boys, win the UEFA Champions League, would he become the greatest coach ever? It's up to you. Let me talk in the comment section. Please prepare for a live show immediately after the game. Thank you.